So have you ever wondered what our grandparents did before the 19th century to keep the garden heavy with fruit season after season? I asked my father that question about 25 years ago, right after a terrible tomato crop. I planted 30 plants, but only harvested 10 tomatoes, a pitiful number, while my father, he was mighty good at it. And when he told me his secret, I was truly shocked, because the things he poured around the roots were the very things I was throwing out in the trash every day. Not familiar names like Dr. Earth S-Palm or Job's. The fertilizers he used were all things that could show up in any home with only a few simple soaking and washing steps. I followed every one of those recipes. And this last season, on 2 acres of land, I harvested about 28 tons of vegetables and fruit. Right now, I will share all 6 of those fertilizer recipes with you, and just 1 spoonful of fertilizer under the plant can help it grow heavy with fruit. I believe the next 18 minutes will not waste your time. By the end of the video, I will point out the basic fertilizing mistakes that left your garden nearly empty in the last harvest. 1. The basics of garden fertilizer. Right now, I am sitting beside a bucket that does not smell pleasant at all. Normally, I would not want a bucket like this sitting near the garden path. But this bucket is not trash. Done right, it can give your plants a nearly free meal. And in just a few minutes, I will show you how to make it. But before you pour anything around the roots, I want you to understand how it works. I want you to know why it helps, when to use it, and when you must be careful. Do it right then, pass it on to someone else. That is the purpose of this video. Fertilizer said, plain is food for plants. It can come from manure. Compost a bag of pellets, from the store a bottle of liquid fertilizer, or from very ordinary things in your trash bin. Its shape does not matter as much as whether the plant can use it or not. Many gardeners have heard of the 3 main nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Nitrogen helps plants make leaves. Phosphorus helps roots and flowers. Potassium helps plants stand stronger and keep their strength better when flowering and feeding fruit. But plants do not live on those 3 things alone. They also need calcium, magnesium, sulfur, and many other trace nutrients. A plant is like a family. It cannot stay healthy for long on just one kind of food, and it cannot bear the heavy fruit if it lacks too many nutrients. As I said in the last video, green leaves are not always a sign of a good harvest. A plant that wants to bear fruit needs many things working together, and the roots are where it all begins. If you have not seen the last video about fertilizers that help plants bear fruit all year, watch it after this video. I saw that this subject was received pretty well, so today I want to share a few more ways to make fertilizer that my father used in his garden. He had his own way for each problem in the garden, and I never saw him come away empty in any season. Now let us get to it. Before you buy another bag of fertilizer from the store, look at what you threw into the trash this morning: banana peels. Number 1, banana peels. Did you know banana peels are something many of us already have at home, and they are a fine natural fertilizer for plants? As many folks know, bananas are rich in potassium, and in the plant world, potassium is an essential nutrient for plant growth. Especially for folks in Perth, our sandy soil often has potassium washed out of it, so it is important that we add it back often. Fruit trees usually need extra potassium to give a good yield, improve fruit flavor, and increase flower production. Potassium also helps strengthen the plant. It thickens the cell walls so the plant can grow big and strong. I usually give fruit trees first place when I make this banana peel fertilizer. I will give you 2 simple ways to do it. First, you can chop banana peels small and bury them in the garden. Do not bury them close to the plant stem. Do not leave them showing on top of the soil. Flies, ants, or mice will thank you before the plant ever does. But to my mind, the better way is to make soaked water. Cut the banana peels small and put them in a jar of water. I set that jar on my work table or out on the porch with the mouth covered by a piece of cloth. Do not seal it tight. You do not want insects getting in, but the jar still needs to breathe. Every day, if the house eats more bananas, I add more peels and stir it gently. After about 3 days, I strain out the water. The leftover pulp goes into the compost. The water part is thinned by at least half, then poured around the root zone. You can also cut banana peels small, dry them in the sun, then grind them into powder. Add this powder to water or sprinkle it around plants. So from now on, after eating bananas, you know what to do. With this recipe, your banana peels are worth $20 because they have replaced a bag of fertilizer from the store. Next, I want you to take this thing out of the trash right away because it will be a very important ingredient for the next fertilizer. Number 2, eggshells. Everybody knows the inside of an egg has a lot of protein, but did you know eggshells are actually a fine source of potassium and calcium carbonate? I will show you how to do it in detail. First, wash the eggshells clean, let them dry. Well, then put them in the oven at about 120 degrees Celsius for 1 to 2 hours. Let them cool. Crush them. Then put them into a blender or coffee grinder and grind them into a very fine powder, as close to baby powder as you can get. Now your eggshells are ready to become fertilizer. Mix 1 part eggshell powder with 10 parts vinegar. For example, 1 ounce of eggshell powder goes with 10 ounces of vinegar. The reaction will foam up hard because carbon dioxide gas is escaping. Keep the mixture in a wide jar or container not sealed tight. Wait about 7 to 10 days for the reaction to finish. When the liquid is done, it will be thin like water, but lightly cloudy. When using it, thin it with water and spray it on leaves or pour it around the base. Do not use it straight because leftover vinegar can burn roots or leaves. This fertilizer is best for plants entering the flowering and fruiting stage, like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, eggplants, watermelons, and cantaloupes. A reasonable timing is about once every 2 weeks during the fruiting season. Do not be foolish and throw eggshells straight onto the plants. This is a common way many folks do it, and I will show you where the mistake is. If you put eggshells straight into the compost pile or scatter them right under tomatoes, cucumbers, or any other plant, it may take many years, even more than 10 years, for them to break down completely. Eggshells are about 95% calcium, but that calcium is not ready for the plant to take in until it is changed into another form. Now let us move over to recipe number 3. There is still plenty of interesting things waiting for you. Number 3, Balicasida leaves. Now we come to the smelly bucket I spoke about at the beginning. This is the part many new gardeners doubt. They look at a bucket of leaves soaking in water and think, can this really be fertilizer for plants I understand? The first time I smelled it, I would not have called it pleasant either. But in the garden, not everything that smells is trash. This fertilizer is liquid organic fertilizer. Said plain, we take things already around the house like green leaves, leftover vegetables, coffee grounds, and eggshells, then soak them so part of the nutrients move into the water. That water, if thinned right, can help make the soil richer, the roots stronger, the leaves greener, and the plant more able when it flowers and sets fruit. Today, the main ingredient is Balicasida, leaves. I also use dried chive leaves or dried green onion leaves. Balicasida leaves help return green matter to the soil and may give a little support against some pest troubles around the plant. Dried chive leaves or dried green onion leaves add another layer of help for the roots and leaves. The way to make it is not hard. Take a handful of Balicasida leaves and chop them small. Do not put whole big branches and leaves into the bucket and expect them to work fast. Smaller pieces, let the water touch more of them, then chop the dried chive leaves or dried green onion leaves. Put everything into an old bucket. Pour in enough water to cover the ingredients. Cover it, but do not close it like a sealed jar. It needs to ferment. Let it sit for about 4 days. Each day, if you remember, stir it once. No need to make it fancy. Just push the leaves down and mix it well. After 4 days, strain out the liquid. Do not throw away the leftover pulp. Spread it thin around the base of large plants or put it into the compost pile. Nothing is wasted. When using it, do not pour it on straight. For small plants, mix 1 cup of this fertilizer water with 1 to 2 liters of water. Then pour about 100 to 200 milliliters on each plant. For large plants, use about 300 to 500 milliliters around the root zone. It is best to water in the early morning or in the cool of the evening. You can spray a very thin layer on the leaves, but I still like to begin at the root zone. Number 4, seaweed. Surely this is a fairly new use for seaweed that you may have heard of. Fertilizer. And truth be told, that is how it is. Fertilizer made from seaweed helps plants take in nutrients better than you might think. That is because seaweed has many trace minerals, a little potassium, and compounds that help plants hold up better when the weather gives them trouble. Before using it, I usually rinse the seaweed to take away some of the salt and sand. Then I chop it small. The safest way is to put it into the compost pile. Seaweed has a lot of water in it, so I mix it with dry leaves, straw shredded paper, or manure that has already rotted well. Do not mix it with fresh manure and then put it straight on vegetables you will eat. Seaweed and animal manure can go together, but it is best for them to meet in the compost pile first. The rule is still to feed the plants in the early morning or in the cool of the evening. This kind suits tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, squash, eggplants, roses, and fruit trees that are getting ready to flower or are feeding fruit. Believe me, your tomato plants will have branches hanging heavy from too much fruit. Number 5, soybean meal. Soybean meal is not something I use to make the garden look pretty. I use it when plants need more natural nitrogen to build stems, make leaves, and get their strength back after the soil has been worn thin. Because if you want a plant to bear fruit, well, first the plant must have a stem strong enough to carry the fruit leaves green enough to feed the fruit, and roots strong enough to pull food up from the soil. A plant with weak leaves, thin stems, and poor soil may bloom, but it will have a hard time holding flowers and young fruit. Nitrogen does not turn straight into fruit, but it builds the stems and leaves that give the plant strength to feed fruit later. First, you need to loosen the soil. After that, spread a thin layer of soybean meal around the base of the plant and do not sprinkle it too thick, so it will not sit there heavy and break down poorly. Next, water lightly so the meal soaks into the soil and begins the process of releasing its food. You can compost soybean meal before feeding it to plants. The composting process helps the living microbes work stronger and makes it easier for the plant to take in. Mix soybean meal with water at a ratio of 1 to 2. You can add a microbial starter to speed up the fermenting. Then cover it tight and let it sit for about 7 to 10 days, stirring it now and again so the mixture ferments evenly. Remember to choose pure soybean meal with no additives and no preservatives. Plants need clean food, and so does the soil. Number 6, coffee grounds. Every morning when my house makes coffee, I look at the grounds left behind in the filter. They are not good to drink anymore, and they do not look like much, but I do not throw them away too quick. In the garden, coffee grounds still have work to do. They have organic matter, nitrogen, a little potassium, and a few other minerals. They may look brown, but in the compost pile, they are often counted as green material. But I will say this plainly, coffee grounds are not strong fertilizer. They feed the soil slowly. It is best to put them in the compost or sprinkle them very thin around the root zone. Do not pour a thick pile tight against the base. They can cake together and make it hard for the soil to breathe. And that is all 6 fertilizer recipes for today. Part 2. Things to remember when fertilizing plants. If you think the job is done once the fertilizer is put down, I need to pull you back a little. In my garden after fertilizing is when I start looking more closely. Homemade fertilizer has no clear, measured label. A bucket of lightly soaked leaves is not the same as a bucket forgotten out in the sun. A little coffee grounds is not the same as a whole handful poured tight against the stem. Natural does not mean careless. After fertilizing, look at the soil first. Is the soil packed and airless? Does it smell rotten? Are flies, ants, or mold coming in? Food for the soil must be in the soil, not lying out in the open to feed pests and disease. Then look at the plant. Are the young leaves curling? Are the leaf edges burning? Are many flowers falling off? Do not see a yellow plant and hurry to pour on more fertilizer. And if the plant already has fruit, pick it at the right time. A good spoonful of fertilizer can help a plant, but a pair of eyes willing to look is what keeps the whole harvest. Today we went through a few very ordinary things: banana peels for plants feeding flowers, and fruit eggshells for slow but steady calcium, Balicasida, leaves for liquid fertilizer, coffee grounds to feed the soil, and seaweed to add minerals for stronger plants. Those things are not new. It is only that modern life easy services and things used once and thrown away have made us forget to look back at the bucket, the peel, and the grounds left after a meal. I am not saying the Amish know everything. We are only fortunate to still keep the habit of learning from those who came before us, using what we have and wasting a little less. What do you want to know more about how we keep the house dry, drive off insects, or care for the garden through a hard season? Subscribe. I will see you again in the next video.